Hi, I'm Adriano Zumbo. Today I'm going to show you how to make the best strawberries and cream macaron you've ever tasted. So to start off, in a pot we have sugar and water. In another bowl I have my TPT. TPT stands for tant pour tant, which means half and half in French. So that's half almond meal and half pure icing sugar. I have one lot of egg whites, some red colouring, and some sesame seeds for the decoration. So the first thing to do is place the first lot of egg whites in the mixer with the whisk attachment. So the whisk attachment's good for, we want to get a nice airy egg whites, get a lot of air in it. So to get there, we need to cook our sugar syrup to 118 degrees. I'm using an induction cooktop. The induction cooktop allows me to be more controlled in when I'm cooking. So it's good for cooking a sugar syrup. So especially with macarons, you kind of want to get there fast all the time. So it's good. I can put on a high heat and I can get it to 118 pretty quick so I can get the show on the road. So now for the sugar syrup, I want to colour it. So to add the colour to the macarons, I'm going to add it to the sugar syrup. So I'm using red colour, so I'm just going to squirt in red colour. The reason why I put the red colour into the sugar syrup, because you could also put it into the egg whites if you'd like, is that I like to evaporate off any excess water, because any water in the mix can change the consistency of my macaron paste. So once I add the colour, usually I like to start the egg whites. So I get these egg whites starting to whip using an electric mixer. So without electric mixer, it's pretty hard to make macarons really well. To do it by hand, it's quite tricky and quite labour intensive, and you don't get the same result. I like to use colour because colours, I think it's a great way of expressing, the love of eating, I guess. Food has to be colourful for me. So I just want to cook the sugar syrup to 118, which I just reached the temperature now. Make sure the egg whites are a quarter of the way whipped. In that, meaning like you've whipped them a quarter of the way to being like a firm peak. Turn the machine to medium to high speed when you add the hot sugar syrup so it doesn't stick to the bottom. And just run it down the side of the bowl. So you must run it down the side of the bowl because if you pour it into the whisk, it'll flick everywhere. So you'll have little granules of hard sugar through your mixture. I want to whisk that meringue to 50 degrees. And the reason why I want to whisk the meringue to 50 degrees is I need to keep a little bit of warmth in the bowl. Because what I'm going to do next is fold the meringue through the TPT mixture, and the TPT mixture is cold. So if my meringue's cold as well, I end up with a really thick and claggy sort of mixture. I don't want that. I want my mixture to be a bit more soft, flow back into itself. So it's quite crucial to take it off while it's still a little bit warm. What I'm going to do with the second lot of egg whites, I'm just going to add them into the centre of the TPT. So my meringue's done. See, it's nice and glossy. So put all the meringue into the TPT mixture. And now we're just going to fold that through. So make sure you mix it till it's all clear. There's no more lumps of almond meal or icing sugar. So you can see the consistency I got now. It's quite a nice consistency. And that's achieved because I had my meringue at 50 degrees and I had the sugar at the right temperature as well. But if you let the meringue get colder, this is much thicker. We just keep beating the air out of it. I know that we whip the air into it, but we whip the air into it to create a nice, strong structure. But now we need to take some of the air out so the mixture flows back into itself, so we get a nice, smooth shell on the surface of the macaron. So that's good enough for me. So what you need to have ready is a couple of baking trays. So I'm just putting a little bit of mixture in the corner of the trays because I'm using baking paper. It tends to blow around a little bit. So I just put a little bit under each corner just to try and give it a little bit more security. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put my mixture into my piping bag. So if you've never piped before, don't put too much mixture in the bag. because it becomes harder to pipe. Just start with a little bit. A little tip you can do is to draw circles to the size of the macaron you want on a piece of paper and slip it underneath the baking paper you're about to pipe on, and just use that as a guideline. The main tip when you're piping, I think, is probably just to hold the bag in the one place. A lot of people try and draw circles with the bag when they see you've got to make a circle. So as you pipe, make sure you keep them evenly spaced out so you get a good airflow while they're in the oven. Just remember to take your time while you're piping. Don't try and rush it. You're not going to beat anyone. Once you do that, just get a few sesame seeds, sprinkle them on top, and then just give it a light tap. The tapping is just to take out any excess air out of the macaron and give you gives you a much more flatter shell. So what we're going to do now is we're going to leave these for 5 minutes just to get a little bit of a skin, a little layer on the outside that creates a crust. So when they go in the oven, they lift up, they get nice feet. Sometimes if we don't get a skin, they sort of crack open in the middle. We don't want that. So now we're going to make the steamed orange pudding. So what I've got here, I've got sugar and water, and I'm just bringing that to 109 degrees. In the bowl next to me, I have my egg yolks and some orange zest. So we've reached 109 degrees. So now we're just going to slowly add the hot syrup into our egg yolks and orange zest. So just do this really slowly because the syrup's quite hot, so we don't want to scramble those eggs. And you can see I'm using a spatula because I don't want to get any air bubbles into the mixture. That's our mixture done. So now we're going to transfer it into our little Dariol molds we have. And we're just going to fill them up a third of the way. So then we're just going to cover them in cling film. So just pop them in the steam oven and we're going to leave them in there for about 15 minutes. Now we're going to do the strawberry gel, which is a jelly-like texture. It's going to go in after the macaron's baked. We'll pipe it inside. So it's very simple. Just consists of strawberry puree, or fresh strawberries that have been pureed and sieved, a little bit of caster sugar, and some pectin NH. So pectin is it's a natural setting agent that comes from citrus. It'll help the jelly set to the right texture. So the first step is we're going to take the strawberry puree to 60 degrees. So I'm going to use it on quite a high heat because I just want to do it quite quick. So that's the beauty, it's very versatile. If you're multitasking or doing something else, you can put it on low, do other things. But at the moment, I'm just doing the one job. So I'm going to put it on high because I know I'm going to give it all my attention. So now I'm at 60 degrees. I'm just going to add the pectin and sugar. Sprinkle that in. And just give it a good whisk. Make sure you keep whisking so you don't get any lumps from the pectin. And we're just going to bring that back to the boil. So you can see it's very quick to get to the boil. That's the beauty, the power, the very efficient power of the induction. If you're comfortable with using the induction, it makes cooking a whole lot faster. So just let that boil for 10-15 seconds. And then I'm going to take it off. I'm just going to pour it in a container just to let it cool. So what I've got here on my macaron shells is if I touch it, you see my finger doesn't stick. That's called a skin. So that's something that you want to look for before you put the macarons in the oven. So now I've got a skin, I'm just going to pop them in the oven. So the next step is the marshmallow, which is going to be the decoration for our macaron. In this step, we have in the saucepan, we have water, sugar, and glucose. So we're just going to bring that up to the boil and continue cooking that to 113 degrees. So when making marshmallow, you pretty much can't make marshmallow without one of these babies. It's pretty crucial for the aeration stage. You can't whip it by hand fast enough to get the air you need in the marshmallow. Also, it's because we're pouring in a hot syrup, you really need the workforce of this machine to be able to whip it up as it cools down. So what we're going to do is, when this gets to 113, we're going to slowly add our gelatine, which we have here, pre-soaked gelatine. And then we're just going to whip that up until it cools down. And you'll see as it cools down, it gets a lot thicker and you'll get that marshmallowy texture. And then we'll pipe it into our desired shape and use it as our decoration. It's pretty crucial I get this sugar syrup to 113 degrees, so I get the marshmallow's texture correct. If I cook the sugar syrup too far, it'll get too thick and too dense and too sticky, and the marshmallow won't get enough air inside it, so it'll be quite heavy and dense, and it's not pleasant to eat. So now my sugar syrup's at 113. I'm going to start my mixer. So just pour the sugar syrup into the mixing bowl. So now I'm just going to add the gelatine in slowly. The gelatine is a setting agent of the marshmallow, so without the gelatine, it wouldn't set. It would just fall back into soup. So it gives you that nice elasticy sort of texture. So now we're just going to leave it to whip up until it gets cooler. You'll slowly see that it'll start to get fluffy and light. So in the meantime, I've just got a piece of baking paper here, which I'm just going to sprinkle with some icing sugar. This is where I'm going to pipe the marshmallow. So I'm just putting the icing sugar down so it helps it not to stick to the paper as much. So our macarons are out of the oven, and some of the key points to look for for a good macaron when they're out of the oven. The first thing is the nice smooth surface on the top of the shell, but the second thing is the feet. The feet is probably one of the most standout features of a macaron. If your macaron doesn't have feet, you pretty much don't have a macaron. Okay, so now our marshmallow is at the right point where we need to take it off. So you can see our marshmallow's nice and thick, shiny and glossy. We've got that, it's got that structure to it now, where you know it's going to hold. So, ooh, look at that. So we'll take it off the mixer. So once again, we have a piping bag. Just twist the bag and push it into the nozzle so we don't lose any at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to pipe like a rope on top of the icing sugar. So the best way to keep it straight when piping, you can see how I'm holding the bag. I've got my right hand, if you're right-handed, right hand here, keeping the pressure on, but I use my left hand to guide it, just keep it steady. Just go from left to right, really easy. There's no nothing fancy about it, but just try and keep it like a round rope. Don't drag it on the bottom. Just hold it a little bit above the thing and just drop it. So now I'm just going to just cover the marshmallow with some more icing sugar. This is just to make it, once it sets, just to make it easier to handle, so it's not so sticky. So we're just going to leave that. That just needs to set a little bit. What I'm doing right now is I'm just taking out the steamed orange puddings out of these little Dariel molds. So just warm it up in the water, run your knife around it, and then just put it on a plate. Just tap it, and it should come away like that. So here I have my vanilla and tonka bean chantilly. So it's just a cream that's been infused with vanilla beans and tonka beans. So tonka beans, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, is a bean that originates from Venezuela. It's a bean that looks like this. So it kind of doesn't look like much, kind of like a dried out vanilla bean, and you just grate it over the top of things. So I've just infused that and set it with some gelatine. So into a mixing bowl, because we're going to use this electric red mixer here. So we just want to whip this up till we get a nice firm peak, and it's nice and stable. This should only whisk for not even a minute, because it's got a bit of gelatine in it. If it's cold how it should be, it shouldn't take too long to whisk. So I'm just going to take that off the mixer. So we've got nice firm peaks here, which is what we want. So I'm just going to put that into a piping bag now. So that's the vanilla and tonka bean chantilly, which I have in the bag here. And I'm just going to set that aside for now. The next thing I'm going to do is put my strawberry gel in a piping bag. So this is a strawberry gel we made earlier. So you can see it's like a nice jammy consistency. So we have our shells here, and I've very importantly gone and made sure they match up in size. I have my steamed orange pudding, I have our fresh cut strawberries, we have our strawberry gel, and we have our vanilla and tonka chantilly. So now to start assembling, I'm just going to start with the chantilly. I'm just going to pipe a small ring on each one. Then grab the strawberry gel. Just going to pipe a little bit in the bottom. Then I'm just going to grab our orange pudding, pop that in the middle. Like so. So we go back to our chantilly. I guess anything with piping is pretty much just practice. Practice makes perfect. But the best thing is to always keep pressure in the bag and use your left hand. If you're right-handed, use your left hand to guide it around, and just take your time. So we're just going to put a little bit more gel on top. Just going to grab these strawberries. So just keep putting them around till you get back to where you started. Then just pop the lid on. What we're doing now is I'm just going to make the decoration for the top. I just need to cut it with the scissors and just tie it into a knot. So now it's time to plate up these beautiful strawberry and cream macarons. The beautiful vibrant red colour we've used with a little sprinkle of sesame seeds to make it look like a strawberry, and just finished off with that nice little bit of white marshmallow. Inside we have a beautiful vanilla and tonka bean creme chantilly wrapped around a steamed orange pudding with fresh strawberries. Now if you like this video here today, check out some of our other content online, or pop into a Harvey Norman store and visit our friendly staff who can help you colour your world.